After seeing Donut Media's Wish Supercharger video, I thought about what would it be like to make my own Wish Turbocharger. I'll design the most average looking 1970s Cabriolet body and create the engine as so. Just letting you know, it's not gonna turn out that great. Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, and let's get on with our build. So with the panel material, this 1977 body, which is basically like a Fiat Panda looking guy right here. Let's choose the good old steel panel material with a monocoque chassis made out of galvanized steel. With the front edge replacement, good old front transverse. With the front suspension we're going to be using, somewhat basic in a way, so let's use a McPherson strut front suspension, and the rear a solid axle coil. So for the engine, pretty basic. Let's use an inline 4 engine made of the cast iron. Let's make this somewhat small, maybe like a 1.5 liter or something right here. So increase the stroke a little bit and a little bit on the bore to make it. Right out here. So the bore at 80 millimeters and the stroke set to 74 millimeters, which gets the engine size to 1,488 cubic centimeters, or about 1.5 liters, with a single overhead cam 2 valve made out of aluminum. So for the internals, I'm guessing fairly basic, so cast iron, cast pretty much everything with a harmonic damper just to start things off for now. And for the compression, all this good stuff, let's probably drop this to around maybe like a 9.0 to 1 ratio, maybe 8.5 to 1 ratio, because, well, it's the 70s, turbos are just coming out this time. So with the turbo, let's install this just a little bit later, just to get the natural aspirator rating of this here engine. So with the fuel system and everything, let's use a single point electronic fuel injector with a standard low intake. Probably keep it as is, running on regular fuel starting for now. With the headers right here, we're going to be choosing to cast mid headers with a single exhaust. Because of being an inline engine, the exhaust diameter is set to around 1.75 inches. With a 3/8 catalytic converter, and none first buffer, reversible for the second one, and 65 horsepower just starting out, being naturally aspirated. We can do better. Alright, so I got everything done with the naturally aspirated part of the engine, so about 72 horsepower that we're making. So for the turbocharger, just to spice things up at already 78 horsepower, not much of a difference. So let's choose the basic stuff, standard geometry, ball bearing, and we'll change the size, oh my goodness, as so. Let's say never mind to that and increase the frickin' size of the compressor turbine by maxing this bad boy out. So that makes about 69-ish horsepower. And what happens when we drop the intercooler to like near zero? So, oh my god. 35.4 horsepower and significantly dropping. Oh my god. Can we say the same thing for the boost? Not really. And I don't think at BeamNG.drive this really doesn't matter with this type of power rating. I think it should probably produce it like maybe like 5 PSI or something like that. Like, how can I see it right here? I don't think it really matters whatsoever. So this might as well just finalize the engine as is. So from being naturally aspirated, it makes around 68.2 horsepower at 5100 RPM. And applying the janky-ass turbocharger from around 68 horsepower down to 37.6 horsepower at 3800 RPM. I told you this car wouldn't perform that great automation, probably do the same thing at BeamNG.drive, so let's give you here what this engine sounds like right now. Sounds pretty decent despite the turbocharger not doing much. Like, where was the boost even at? So the boost? No boost whatsoever? Are you kidding me? So, 0? And then drops off. Interesting. I guess they call it a Wish turbocharger for nothing. So for the drive type of this car, since it's a transverse type of engine, front wheel drive with a manual 4-speed with the top speed set. Let's see here, 82.02 miles an hour? Why not? Let's check that out. So for the tires, let's use some radial hard long life tires. The front and rear tire width, I mean, maybe 175s will probably do for realistic per se for a city car like this. And for the brakes, pretty basic, some drum, 2 shoes up front. Let's do 230 up front and a single shoe in the back, 180 in the back would probably do. Maybe drop the brake force for a little bit for the rear, maybe around 80%, but this will change real soon. So for the under tray, no under tray whatsoever. It's a cheap ass city car with the brake airflow. Let's start off with meager 10. And for the interior of this car, I will design an interior because we're going to drop the top as so, because it'll be a manual soft top for the convertible type with two basic front seats up front, full-size seats, and two reduced ones in the back, with a standard interior up front and really cassette players are not in yet, so A-Truck will do. So for the driver aids, safety, and all that good stuff, so we're choosing the hydraulic rack and pinion type of steering with no check shades whatsoever, with some standard issue 1970 safety standards. And finally, for the suspension, good old standard springs, twin tube dampers past the sway bars. Would start off with normal preset to see who we are. It claims we're oversteering, and we are still oversteering. Alright, so I dropped the front and rear tire with each to 155 millimeters, so we'll have to pretty much do the same thing, yes, to the rim offset. So I think a 25 will do up front, same thing for the back also, at 25. And the brakes, well, I pretty much got it right for the front, but the rear, oh boy, let's see here, 31, bad, 58, still bad. And oh my goodness, look at the frickin' top speed and overdrive going up in here. 70.2 miles an hour is the new top speed according to graph out here with 0 to 62 in 24.6 seconds. Oh my god. I'd say this 0 to 60 is just as bad as my last video at the inline 2, quote-unquote inline 2 build of the freaking Trabol 750 SL, I think it is, of a knockoff Trabant with an inline 2 engine. Basically made automation, but I used the Integrates Engine Simulator to get the sounds off of that to make a quote-unquote inline 2 engine. Alright, I think my tuning on here is pretty much finalized, so let's get ready to build the car as so, as I design this into a time-lapse, so we'll be driving this car later on in BeamNG.drive with this here wannabe Fiat Panda looking ass up in here. So let's commence the time-lapse of this portion of the video right now. So for the design of this car, right away with the front, it's inspired by the Volkswagen Golf Mark I Cabriolet, mainly with the headlights, square grille, license plate placement, and bumper-mounted turn signals, including a small front lip that the GTI models of this car used back then. I then added a pair of hood vents similar to what the first-gen Fiat Panda used, along with a radio antenna on the driver's side part of the vehicle. The sides are fairly basic. I added some chrome door handles, the plastic trim, and a fuel cap with a lock in it. The side mirrors already came with this car since it's an outdated legacy car body in the game Steam Workshop you can download, which is probably called like Legacy Car Bodies or something like that. Heading towards the back, I kinda struggled with what kind of lights to put on the back of this car. I decided to use this 3-piece set of tail lights mounted vertically. I also added the trunk handle, the car's branding, and a rear license plate. Even though this car has UK plates, just imagine some British dude imported a right-hand drive model from the United States. Now for the interior, the first thing I did was to create a basic roll hoop. It's supposed to be mounted directly to the door frame for the sake of rigidity in case it rolls over. I also tried to add a handful of fixtures to make it look like the roof is folded down. It turned out to be okay for my first time doing something like this. For the actual interior, I added some basic seats, a dashboard, center console, gear shifter, steering wheel, the 8-track player, and so on. This took me about 45 minutes to an hour to get everything done with the interior. Finally, I painted the car yellow and officially gave the car and the engine a name. So after getting everything done with this build, here's what it came out. This is the 1977 Mons Munis Cabriolet. This typical cabrio body is the perfect city cruiser that's fun to drive. Unfortunately, someone thought it was funny to put a shoddy Wish turbo to make it faster. I highly doubt that, buddy. Okay, so I finally got this here Cabriolet body all set and done here. Even on the back end, it's the first time actually making a Cabriolet body with the little top down right here, which is the first time for me doing so. Hey, whatever. It's a car, and that's all there is to it. So before we export this bad boy to BeamNG.drive, despite our only 5 problems we got with this car, such as the low load capacity, the engine being underpowered, the engine being quite full, the front engine being quite narrow, and some unutilized octane with the engine, let's jump over to BeamNG.drive to wish that we had a better turbocharger. So here we are at the map of Johnson Valley with my boring ass rear end of a car that I got going here. I really couldn't get a good rear end design going, so this is pretty much the best that I could do right there. And here comes the cavalry with my test car, my SRT Grand Caravan, another test car, my invisible car, and all that stuff. So anyways, to not keep the traffic waiting behind me, let's start off with our basic performance test with this here car. We'll start off with the 0 to 62 acceleration test, followed by the 62 to 0 brake test, and lastly, a top speed run with this vehicle. So let's start the 0 to 62 acceleration test starting now by hitting the gas pedal as we slowly accelerate into first gear at, oh boy, 1.5 psi. There you have it, folks. I knew it. So traffic behind me is going pretty smooth up in here as we're going up to near highway speeds of 55 miles an hour and slowly counting. So I believe this thing upshifts at around like 4,200 RPM or something like that earlier. So 0 to 62 in 26.40 seconds at 1,619.63 feet. That is pretty bad. All right, let's see how this works. Brake test. Hit the 62, go. No ABS as we're skidding out of control a little bit. Good. 62 to 0 at 3.13 seconds of 133.40 feet. Time-wise, isn't really much of the best out there, despite being a less than a 1-ton vehicle, but distance-wise, seems okay. Okay, for a top speed run, wheel spin launch and accelerate. Let's see. Let's do this in manual gear mode. Let's see. Oh my god, that was horrible. So right here, dropping power, barely accelerating into third gear. I think BeamNG was right about it upshifting early compared to what we're getting right here. So I think 0 to 62 would be like 35 seconds or something like that. Okay, we got a straight road. Here we go. 0 to 62 by doing the manual gearbox mode at 53.28 seconds of 3,403.86 feet. My golly! I'm thinking the top speed run might be a fail, but who knows? We got, don't steer, this type of straight road up ahead, so let's see where this leads us out to. Alright, we pretty much headed downhill. Is that my invisible car going off-road? I was saying we hit a downhill and the top speed we got as of right now was 76 miles an hour, hovering around 5,500 RPM as we're slowly dropping right now, unfortunately, again, as we hit this little bit of stretch of straight road and a minor incline, or is this strictly a straight, almost level road? It looks like the dead end is just up ahead as it went way past the gas station, and I believe this is the northern tip of the highway right here in the map here. So here's the invisible car, 75 miles an hour, everybody's pulling over, so here's the trucks, all that good stuff, so everything as is. Hit the Mr. Semi-Truck. Mr. Semi-Truck, please. You're very welcome. So a 74-ish mile-an-hour collision because we pretty much just failed our top speed run by averaging around in the high 70s. So the aftermarket construction vehicle, so it's been pummeled big time. We got, what are these, the seats? Yes, those were the seats, I believe. And pretty much everything in the interior is just gone, and the engine here is completely exposed. Look at the intercooler. Look how small this intercooler is, man. It looks like a freaking tiny baby or something, man. So yeah, enough of that. Let's get on to a time trial run right now. So here we are at the automation track, and what I got loaded here is the handling course time trial layout that we got right here, where this says Crest. Pimped out sign only in the frickin' I almost said Netherlands, I mean New Zealand. Sorry. So we're gonna be doing 2 laps around this here racetrack without a rolling start, hence we're behind the start and finish line right here. So let's start things off here. 3, 2, 1, accelerate. 4,000 RPM launch. Let's do this manually, just to inflict more pain of this here time trial run. Look at this. Left-hander. Not bad. More. I want more. Still not bad. So pretty much the car handles just as well as my Trabol 750 SL, which was my last build that I made off this here channel, which is basically a knockoff Trabant 601. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's an inline 3 and automation in terms of like weight and power and all that good stuff, but in BeamNG.drive, well, first in automation, it's an inline 3 in terms of like weight and performance, but I made the engine hidden while designing the car and just hastily made a mock-up inline 2 engine, and then in AMD Integrate's engine simulator program, I coded an inline 2 engine to rev up to 5,000 RPM, exported the sounds as so, and pretty much made it like a mock-up of an inline 2 engine of that car. So first lap time is a 1 minute, 47 seconds, 929 milliseconds. Let's see, heavy braking? Not really heavy braking, just like moderate braking that should have been applied. Not that bad of a handle right there, as I'm kind of controlled by steering input and all that good stuff. And also this time trial, you kind of notice it's like maybe 40% of the time, I'm keep going off into the gravel as so. Probably because I'm kind of not knowing the capabilities of the steering and all that good stuff of me just putting the steering input or just getting some of that understeer in the corners. Okay, here's the final straightaway right here. So our final time we're going to get in this lap, 1 minute 44 seconds, 586 milliseconds of a total time of a 3 minutes 32 seconds, 515 milliseconds, which puts us in second place behind the 330 time, which was my racing bus. Oh boy, back in July 8th of 2020 under my Mr. Jacket 000 days, my old channel. Golly, that's been quite a long time. So free roam, hit the straight ahead, bang. What a shot from Curry as my radiator is leaking, so considerable amount of front end hood damage and all good stuff, and the turbocharger exposed, and my baby ass exhaust, or intercooler exposed right here. Look how small this thing is. Now I just look at how small this thing, look how small this is compared to the turbine and the compressor of the turbocharger. I mean, this is a complete joke or something, man. Oh my god. So, for the final part of the video, let's try to improve its top speed and all that good stuff and launch this bad boy at the car jump arena. So take it to the top of the ramp right now. So here we are at the top of car jump arena as so. We got a 4 light and a 5 light. I'm pretty much late to explain it, so here comes the green light right now. So let's accelerate as so pretty slowly with my 1 point something pounds of PSI of boost this turbocharger. 0 to 60. In 7.57 seconds, a freaking Boeing in 270.57 feet. Not that bad. So VTEC is kicking in. Over Everest. Wait for it. Are we gonna get it or no? 150 mile an hour launch. We're gonna... Ooh. I thought we were gonna land perfectly, and there goes the interior fixtures. We recovered. Over Everest. Valve train damaged. Let's spice it up. Good enough. I think we pretty much spiced it as so by just me drifting into the sand pit. How to break your starter 101. So even though if I keep rolling the car and doing some jump starts, push starts, all this good stuff, the engine refuses to start up. So kids, don't turn off the car. So the final look of the car, well, the intercooler's exposed, some damage, and all that good stuff. Alright, so wrapping things up, at this here map, pretty much the video in general, let's try to get a high-speed crash test going by going as fast as we can possibly can and crash the final bridge pillar at this here, well, this here bridge. And we're getting much worse 0 to 62 time in about 50.84 seconds, 606.32 feet. Pretty mediocre up here. It's like a janky 3-cylinder, like a Geo Metro or something like that. So head on in the bridge pillar at a speed, about 95 miles an hour. And let's 50 times slow-mo this right now as it's heading down to the pillar head-on, not an overlapping crash like a few times before, so head-on crash. There goes some of the 3D fixtures, which I believe are the Cabriolet roof bodies, the seats, this guy right here, more of those guys, everyone else in general. So full time. God damn, look at all these fixtures all over the place. So let's just see what this is. This is the seat. This is the manual gear shifter. Is this the back seat? So here's the back seats. And I believe here's the other front seat. And I think this is the cab, like, roof body up in here, both of these. And there's the mirror. Here's this. I think it's the center console, plates. Golly, man. So for the aftermath destruction vehicle, like a fun final look at this car. The rear end, even though it got some boost polygons up in here, the rear end seems pretty okay. This front tire is still spinning. Can we hit the brakes? E-brake? They don't do nothing. The front is still exposed with the intercooler, turbine, and the compressor, the turbocharger, as always and elsewhere. Oh my goodness, the front end doesn't exist. The freaking front end is basically where the passenger and the driver meet up. Oh my goodness, if you're in the front, you're dead. Back seat. Not counting G-forces, you'll be critically injured, and that's all it. So that'll do it with automation and BeamNG.drive with the Mons Munis Cabriolet. For a car in terms of the general styling, I mean, it's pretty much not that bad of a late 70s car inspired by the Fiat Panda and Volkswagen Golf Mark I. But in terms of general performance with the Wish turbocharger, with the smallest intercooler and big-ass compressor and turbine, and the huge boost that we got in automation, but not really much of BeamNG.drive, it pretty much did as expected. So kids, in the near future, don't buy any turbochargers off of Wish. Stick to eBay or freaking Jegs, AEM, Eaton, this and that for your general suppliers you want to get a boost in performance. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. So this is TRIZE Rising Up, and signing out.